I set both controllers down because, like, oh,
Hmm.
did something run up my spine? Nope.
Wow, that's loud. Okay, wait. There we go. Ah, yes. An atmospheric setting for the stream. Oh, I'm streaming without an overlay. Hold on. Layout. Layout.
Mm-hmm.
Load. No, my layouts. How can I see chat if my layouts are not? All right, it's because I'm on Twitch only. It means I can read and see everybody. Go.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
The cropping isn't that bad. Now, I wonder if this is a good angle. There. Lower. Fly speed. Here. It's quite the lighting in this room, says Mystic. Yeah, I'm actually trying to find the angle and the proper lighting for this place. And if I start my stream any later, I'll probably be missing a whole lot of my viewers again. So
Yeah.
might as well go live while I'm in the middle of the setup process. Also, hi, Mystic. Nice to see you. Oh, wow, itchy.
Yeah, so basically what I had to do for
Yes.
stream.
So today we're sort of like going for atmosphere more than anything. But don't worry, it's very easy to just change the lighting back into how it usually was. So, not an issue here, chat. Also, I hope my voice isn't too low. Hmm. Random Crow, sorry. Hi, first stream, I'm from Insta. Hi there, Instagram follower. Let me enlarge this thing. There we go. Now I can actually read the messages. How are you, Mystic? If I'm not mistaken, I saw you in VR chat a bit earlier. Were you still per chance still working on the roller coaster?
Hmm.
Hi, Zent. Crab. Tilted. How does it look? I'm so concerned. Oh, wow. Oh, the crop. That's a bit low. Zoom in. Oh. Hmm. That's rather strange. Hold on. I'm trying to get things set up, chat. Give me like a few minutes. The breath is definitely gonna be turned off for tonight if I can find it.
It's not that cold in here.
Yeah. There we go. It was sort of getting in the way. Yeah. Pin 1, pin 2, the Vesper Camel. You can still see me, chat. Welcome to Twitch, where the view is very wide. And then here you can sort of see our little setup where, yeah, we're, we're in the couch. We're obviously seeing something in loop. I don't know if that's even allowed. I wonder if that counts as protected content. Hmm.
Mm.
So, yeah. Mystic says, you don't sing. Gotta go back down into the depths tomorrow, so I won't be able to stay up. Super if this is the new time slot. No. This isn't the new time slot. I'm a bit late because I had stuff to set up. I will still normally
Yeah.
stream like around 3 hours earlier than now. That's my target. Hi there, Eidolon. I may have greeted you a bit late. You know, maybe the light is a bit red. Let's let's dial it up a notch. Maybe cold blue. No, it's such a strange contrast. Hi, what did I miss? You didn't miss anything, trust me. There we go. How about that? I think that looks more natural. No, this. No, I'll stick with this. There we go. It makes sense. It makes sense. The fire is coming from the right, so yeah. Mystic says, other than the roller coaster, I'm working on lore. Lore. You did tell me you were working on
Mm.
a what was it? It was like a story, right? You were working like a video series of some sort. Mystical lore. Ah, yes. Ow. Anywho, I show 3 today as a little bit of an impromptu stream yet again because one, it's not my usual time slot. I really need to work on something earlier. Maybe. I might stream again later instead of day after tomorrow. And I will be streaming at the usual time if I'm awake. How does that sound, chat? Also, as you may notice, I'm not live on TikTok because I have yet to solve the little stuttering issue I have. It's definitely something I gotta work on. I've isolated it to TikTok Studio. I wonder how. Encoding overloaded. Why? I'm not sure what to do. The world seems a tad bit loud, doesn't it? There we go. So you don't have the incessant rain in your background. It's just me and Vesper. Vesper. Oh, does this mean I can actually move the camera like this? There we go. Much better shot. Wow, that is a very slow flight speed. Whoa, oh. No. There we go. Oh, at least you have a full body view now. Okay, so the fireplace is visible. I'm in the center. It's weighted. Good. Put this here. This there. Fantastic. Oh, it's so much convenient to work with just Twitch. I feel a little bad though because my TikTok viewers aren't able to see this particular stream, but well, the quality of viewers I get at this hour isn't exactly the best. A float cell has joined the chat. Pray tell, what's a float cell? A floating pretzel.
I think it's a Pokemon.
A Pokemon. Hmm. Float cell. Okay, that's the first.
Oh, yep, it is a Pokemon. It's like some sort of two-tailed otter with a life jacket.
I see. Something Axiom would probably know about. Sometimes impromptu streams bear the best fruits. Yes. Oh, it's so strange. It's so quiet. I don't have TikTok's incessant chat, like just scrolling all the time. So this will definitely be a much more chill stream. 100%. Then again, hmm, I, let's make let's make the thing look a bit lower. There we go. I love the new model. Thanks. So what topics are fitting your fancy to talk about right now? I don't know. Whenever I'm on stream, I quite literally come without a script. I just sit, relax, and go with the flow of the conversation. The conversation that the people bring in. So, there isn't gonna be much people today because TikTok is not here, as I've said. Normally, yes, I'm also live on that other platform. But today I wanted to give Twitch just a name. It's exclusive with no viewing. Do you have a pet cat? Yes. Also, Blitz, thanks. Oh, it's not yet done. Then again, I was mixed with the positive and negative reactions to the updated look. I Apparently it's not everybody's cup of tea. Understandably so. You got used to how I look for close to a year, and then here I am all of a sudden looking quite different. Thoughts of eating sushi with a spoon. I Listen, I'm not gonna judge you if you can absolutely not use chopsticks and you don't want to use your fingers. If it helps you ingest the food and the plate before you, then go ahead. I'll just consider it like a disability. Okay. Mystic says, Gebu, are you up for a small wager? Oh my god, it's been over 2 months. If I win, you make Cinnamon Bun make a cute gesture. A gesture to us. If you win, I drop the. My, we have my partner over here who just clearly left. Oh no, I think she just got someone for dinner. How about, if you win, we're gonna do all that. But when Vesper comes back, if I win, well, it's the same thing. And of course, I'm always up for a wager, Mystic. How can I say no? All right. So, without further ado, which side of the coin are you going to pick tonight? Is it gonna be heads, which usually is the winning side, or is it gonna be? Come on, be cool, be tails. Oh no, it's still heads. Or is it going to be like, pause? Well, it looks much more clean if that makes sense, says Blitz. Um, I. Yeah, thanks. Let's go for the fluffy head. And so Mystic chooses statistics. Okay, I guess I'll be siding with what Wolfie usually picks then. Okay. Huh. Alright, chat. It's time for us to play a little game. So, Mystic here is the one who's gonna bet. If she gets heads, she wins, and Vesper is going to do something cute as per her request. If I win, then I have enough money to buy some ice cream or some healthy snacks later. Now, without further ado, how about we get this game on the road? Yeah? Alright. In 3, 2, 1. And so we flip. Oh. Oh my. A wager, yes. Mystic has chosen heads, but I have chosen pause. And what did the coin land on today? Chat. Unfortunately, the bean symbolizes that it landed on pause. No heads tonight. Mystic, it seems the cute gesture is something you have to request from Vesper herself. She may do it without the need of a wager, but thank you all the same for flipping the coin. Hi there, Nyla. Bryce. Eidolon says, in a roll of quarters I got, there was a double-sided quarter. I keep that for bets. That is actually a very smart thing. So you have a little trick coin that you can use when it's absolutely necessary. I would advise against using it in any actual big bets, but so long as you aren't caught, no, you're gonna get caught. That's why I don't use I don't use double-sided coins because what if I get caught? Mm-mm. Yikes. What species are you? Oh, okay, vitamin bleach. How about you tell me what I look like? I am actually interested in what the public considers me to be. Do I look like a wolf? Do I look like a fox? Do I look like a deer, a mouse, a rat, or anything in between? A little hard to tell because of the lighting, I know. You and Bebs. Oh, me, both of us. All right, well. Mystic, seeing as it's your grand return.
So we need a good old coin flip.
No, thank you so much, Mystic. Thank you so much. I really mean it. Oh my god. So let's assume you won. What would you have asked from both of us if the coin landed on the other side? I am curious. You look like something that starts with a V, and then I still need the monoblock. Man. Instrument. I don't know what you're talking about, pal. I am somewhat new to the fandom, so I have no idea. My paw beans don't glow. They are ever so slightly iridescent, but they are most not radioactive, unlike before. I had to balance the colors out. It's only the eyebrows. I forgot to set up the colors of the eyebrows. It's supposed to be the same as that. But because I'm using a different shader, I still have a lot of stuff to do, shops, including the goggles, which is. Hi, chat. I'm totally not a con man, so please rest assured if you want to have a little game of chance with me, it's gonna be a 50-50 thing. Oh, how? Yeah. Mystic says if she won, she would have asked you to make a heart with your arms as if you were do. It's like how do when she gets back. How about that? If you're still awake and she gets back, I'll do it just for you. Why not? Unglow stick Gib. Precisely. Here we go. Thank you, Joe Mog, for getting us started. What what did Joe do? Huh? My Twitch just said something that Joe. I don't know. I don't know. My Twitch just said Joe. Thank you, Joe. Did you accidentally slip some coins my way or something? I don't think so. Also, hi, Joe. Hi there, James. Geb needs Vesper snapping service. Snapping. Snapping. What's like that kind of snapping? Joe said, "Oh, I subbed a few days ago when I was in Germany, but the transaction wouldn't go through till I got back in the UK." Joe, thank you. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it. Ayos ba pa yung bagong model? Yung alam mong no close enough dun sa luma, pero hindi siya eksakto dun sa bago. So, parang sorry, speaking Tagalog for a moment. I will. Thank you, pal. Zoom in. Thank you, pal. Are the details still present? Let's see. Big overlay. Let's go. Ah. Okay. Nice. Thank you for following James. James. Let's stick with James. The swoop on the hair is so Oh, this thing. Oh. What? Agent by day, singer at night. I don't know why, but it's fitting with you. Singer! I don't sing, Mystic. No, I don't sing. I am anything but vocally blessed for any sort of singing presentation. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I wonder if the volume is too low. Can the music even be heard? Whoa. We all know you sing in the shower, says Bleach. Mm-mm. Nah. Not everybody know. No, I don't sing in the shower there. I'm retracting my earlier half statement. Chat, he sings on the sign. Oh, Barbie girl. No. Of all songs, why that? Hold on, my thing is folded. There we go. Vesper says, my only singing talent is my lowercase scream when playing video games. If only Vesper could sing. I wonder if she has the latent potential to unlock a siren like voice. I highly doubt it though. Much like me, I don't think she's exactly musically inclined. What's this? I missed the message. James asks, the goggles look familiar. Where did you get them? These are my same old standard issue goggles that I've had ever since. It's so hot outside, says Show. Good luck. That's why I haven't been driving during the day, Shopal. It's incredibly hot since the past week. I'm not sure if there's like a heat wave going on or not. But the weather surely is disagreeable. Especially if you wear any garments that are thick or dark in color. You have no choice, that's true. And worst of all, you have to take public transportation, which means you are going to be packed along with other sweaty commuters. Have you ever ridden on public transportation with air conditioning, but it's barely working? It's just blowing hot air in your face. Yeah. Mm-mm. No. Oh, yung sa Apex. Hi there, Mr. Haynes. Nice to see you. Mystic says, Vespi sitting on the piano as Gebo is playing. Funny, before I used to have a keyboard. It was a good old Yamaha keyboard. I don't know what model. I don't know how much. All I know is it had 27 different instruments built in. And boy oh boy did I have fun serenading / annoying the neighbors when I was but 9 or 10 years old practicing my piano. Oh, was it nice? Nah. Can I play by ear? Yes. Can I read musical sheets? Absolutely not. No, a deer, a female deer. Bam, 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 bam. I would repeat that for hours. Ah, yes. The annoying child playing his piano at max volume over at his balcony. Ugh. Yeah, I would have smacked my old self if I could. Bleach, unfortunately, I don't have index controller, so I just make do with predetermined hand gestures. I can bend my fingers to an extent. I grew up in the suburbs, says Hayes. So we were pretty annoying, but nobody knew about it. Oh, please, I would have hated my younger self. If I was the neighbor and I would hear my younger self playing the piano, I would be confrontational. I'd be like, hey, kid! Um, yeah, yeah, you keep on playing that. Precisely. So, yeah. Hey says, in fairness, I did get the cops called on me at one time. Same here. I think it was a few years ago. I was so annoyed at my neighbors playing karaoke. They were singing karaoke all the way until like goddamn 4 a.m. So what did I do? I did the smart idea of climbing to the top of my rooftop. I got the like, these are fireworks called piccolos. Piccolos are like enormous matchsticks that explode. So you, and then you throw, and then they explode. And I threw them at the rooftops of my neighbors. Like 40, 50 of them. Gabu has officially an ahoge. Yep. I originally called it an ahigao, but I was I was mistaken. That's a different term. So yes, I have my little thingy on top. It's kind of cute, isn't it? I think it adds a little. No, not a little. It adds a lot to the whole dashing / witty look that I'm going for. My old Nova self was a tad bit too, how should I say this? Dreary, heavy, always had like a heavy mood around him. This one is significantly brighter. Just look at my smile, Chan. So yeah. Oh, Gab, you have a new ahigao. I said, no, that's an ahoge. Ahoge. Stupid hair. Adron says, I do so love a musically inclined chat. Violin, trumpet, vocals, some piano under my belt, but where am I living? I can't practice much for respect of the neighbors. Ah, yes, we always have to be considerate about the people who are living next to us, yes. Please do. Nobody wants to be that annoying, super loud. Don't even get me started. Archie says, what a detective backstory. Don't mind me lurking. Spy the detective a bit. Spy? There's nothing to spy about here. It would be nice if mine were. My neighbors usually have some loud music going the last week or so. Ooh, I see. All right, this thing is uncropped now. Oh, never mind. Get it. Also, continues Hayes. The guy below me will crack music up, but it's like only on Sundays. Of all times, why on Sundays when people want to unwind, rest, and prepare for the week of hell they have again in their work? Which is the Mondays. Ugh. Mondays. Goodness me. Mondays. Man. I remember when I used to work. And when I say work, I used to go to the office. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I would have to get up at 7 a.m., be at the office by 8, and then we would all clock out around 6 p.m. The most exciting part about my day when it comes to going to an office is when I get to ride my motorcycle going there and going home. It was always the highlight, the motivation, my driving force to be productive, be a working class citizen during that day. I get to ride my bike again. Oh, yes. Hey, I have a motorcycle. Well, good on you, Mr. Jackie. I too am emotionally attached to my two-wheeled machine. Vesper says, My mama used to play music. My mama used to play music on Fridays when I was younger. She played music fitting for everyone in the neighborhood. Kids be playing, adults be chilling. Ah, yes. That's fine. The music is fine when you're in like a community. A community of people who are okay with each other and like have proper boundaries like and levels on things. But when it comes to neighbors that don't give a rat's ass about you, then yeah, things get really annoying fast. Gebu, eye check please. Something wrong with my eyes? Ay. Oh, mistake, sorry. Wow. Oh. That's what you meant. Completely my mistake. My apologies. What? Probably because my mind was in a completely different place. It was back in the scene that I was telling you about. Good times. What bike do you have? Asked Jackie. I have an adventure bike, an adventure tourer to be precise. It's a 2019 Kawasaki Versys 1000 SE. I do be loving my inline fours. Oh, four cylinders of smoothness, all working in harmony. Even gave Vespi my accent. My accent? Oh, I did an accent? Ha! Must have done so subconsciously. Totally. Vesper says, if anything, my driving force for working part time the hours I do on top of school is because of Geb's good motivation. I'm glad I can be of use to you, Vesp. You got this. Oh, I'm in the. What the heck am I even watching? Actually, is this even allowed? I'm. There we go. Let's put it on pause. I don't have wings and I'm not sweet like she. Sweet? Talking about sweet. I could have sworn I was at a certain cafe just the other day. And then what came up walking to me was quite the sweetest looking bit of chocolate slash coffee cake. That was like the floor boss slash head maid of the place. Even gave us like a little show. She did the whole that thing. Of course, I'm not gonna say what she said. But it's a little like ritual that these sweet things usually do when they serve you handcrafted omelette rice. Mm. Ah, yes. The need for money. That is one necessity that will never disappear in this modern world. Fortunately. Mystic, the sweetest, feistiest princessita of them all. Goodness me. I really need to start streaming again at like midnight. It's. Yes. Okay. Stuck at 33 FPS. Haha, Shu says, Mystic. I don't know how to take it. How about you just accept it with grace? Mystic, listen, I'm sure whenever you stream, there are a whole bunch of people who have been looking forward to seeing you throughout their day. Okay? And they are very much delighted to see the sweetest princessita that you are. It looks like it's on repeat. My TV. I wonder what I can put. Let's look for a URL. That's SF SFW. YouTube. I know exactly what I'm going to put. Let's load that in. Copy. Pause. Yep, let's click the URL. I don't know, let's kind of paste. Come on. There we go. Now we have a nice video playing. Perfect. What else would Geb be watching other than Blender tutorials? Yep. Eidolon, I don't listen. Mystic and Vesper are two very distinctly different people. They're both fantastic and great, but just like the rainbow, they're of different colors. Ah, yes, even in stream, apparently, I am not free from the X, Y, and Z's of Blender. Oh. Also, chat, if you may notice, I'm not playing my usual music. I'm actually going with copyright free music, handpicked by Vesper herself. You should try the It's okay, Archie. I actually wanna see the Blender tutorial in the background. Why? Because right after stream, if there is no friend hang out with Mystic, Vesper, Axial, Mecha, Wolfie, or Joe, I will most definitely probably toss myself back into the Blender and some Substance Paint because I wanna work on some materials. How about an Eidolon 0.0? We keep it up. Eidolon, fair warning, Vesper, and Mystic, these are both mods on my stream, and they are highly volatile. So it's not my fault if a bit of the fire gets ignited with your little pushy comparisons, okay? You're gonna get bonked. Oh, before stream, probably an hour, I had some chicken karage. Do you know what chicken karage is, Mystic? You know, deep fried chicken from Japan. It's really good. Tender little boneless bits. Oh, in potato starch or potato flour, sorry. And then it had this like sesame ginger sweet sauce on the side. It's super nice. A bit pricey though. It's like $2 for one piece. But I said, you know what? I need a little pick me up before stream. Maybe some nice old fried chicken will put me back in the momentum that I need when it comes to streaming content to you lovely people. Chicken karage. It's from this place called Karayama. You can Google it. It's probably something that's there as well because it's an international thing. And we have Vesper who has clearly returned. Hi there, darling.
Hi.
Come on, move to your old spot. There you go. Let's see if Vesper can work. There we go. Move forward a teeny tiny bit, which I should do as well. There we go. So yeah. Huh, could have sworn I had my coin. Vesper, we need to expand on the playlist that we had. Do you remember the one you
Yeah.
gave me? The copyright free thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make this entire stream that. I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to play my usual music, but alas, we have to follow our little rules.
Yeah. I think there was only like a few that even got copyrighted anyways. So I guess it might just have to be like sorting through your regular list and figuring out what's copyrighted and what's not.
That's true. I can feel it. I can feel the itchiness on Vesper's fingers. Oh, whatever happens, let's just say you brought this upon yourself. But let's give him one more chance.
Alright. One more chance.
One more.
I got my eyes on you.
What Mystic said. Don't tempt fate. Other leg. Zoinks. I wonder what's gonna happen if I open TikTok midstream. That is actually a performance benchmark I want to try. So let's open it up. TikTok studio. curious. Come on, encoder, don't overload on me now. There we go, come on. Work with me, buddy. Oh my god, I can't drag the chat window wider. Come on, Blender. I mean, Blender, sorry. Wow, I've been working too much. Oh, come on, OBS. Oh my god. You little shit. Never mind. So be it. Don't. Don't, madman, don't. What do you blend in Blender? My patience, my time, and suffering, along with the sprinkle of creativity. And then you end up with things like
Speaking
these.
of patience.
There we go. Sorry, Mr. Adalon. Seems like Vesper and Mystic ran out. Gebus's choice of words are all jumbled up today. Mystic, as you can tell, I clearly am still not in the proper streaming momentum. I'm so sorry. Speaking of which, Joe, why are you still alive? Awake. Why are you still awake? Whoops!
Are
I
you
didn't.
still
I didn't mean.
alive?
I didn't mean it that way. I was like, why are you still awake? Whoops! Why are you still alive, Joe? Oh my god!
Type of talk.
I'm not working tomorrow. All right. What am I hearing? Let's just play this track on low. Grim Knight has raided the channel with but a party of one. Welcome, Grim. I'm alive because we can't say. You are clearly alive because you have yet to see all the it's on the back of my head. What's the term? Yeah, those things. So much to see, so much to rate, so much to experience. Yes. Probably the worst thing you can say to a friend that you haven't seen in a while when they pop up. Like, why are you still alive, man? Oh my god. It's more acceptable if you say, like, how are you still alive? Because they can tell you how they've endured till today thus far. I completely forgot to request a thing from Vesper. When she comes back, remind me, Mystic, okay? Oh, Joe heard nothing. I heard that because I didn't shower when I was out there. You didn't shower? What do you mean, Joe? I'm doing good, Graham. Thanks. I didn't know if it was water or what? Famous words I hear when I play Smash Bros. How are you still alive with 300 plus? They're but one hit from bouncing out into like the atmosphere, yes. But somehow they still persist, Mystic. Oh my god, Joe. The wind up on the joke. You're not orange juice anyway, so I think you would have been fine. Then again, the British and the Germans weren't exactly seeing eye to eye 80 years ago, so it was water. Gray. Is that the train I'm hearing? Huh, that's interesting. Yep, that's the train. Wait a second, do I see hair? Yes, Joe, that's hair. I started growing it out. See? Vesper says, I'll be back soon. I got called again to be told that I'll have to clean the basement when mom comes back. I'm so sorry. Chad, it seems Vesper's gonna have a return is gonna have to wait. Where the iconic bald Geb go? I had very, very short hair just until recently. Now I have short hair. We just took away the word very, but the keyword is hair. Oh, so let's open TikTok chat. I need to know. Going live. 3, 2. Ow. By the way, Joe, where's Wolfie? Is he asleep? Ah, damn it. Yeah, because he has work. I'm gonna make it a point to stream much earlier next time. I really need to fix the schedule. This isn't something workable 100%. Also, hello, Pujo. Hi, everyone. Been a while, hasn't it? It's not Pujo. Well, potato, I don't care. What is this madness and why do they wait so long? I don't know. Vesper's always been like a swamp with so much chores. I Like right after work, she has to watch the dogs for like an hour the other day. So she couldn't take a shower, she couldn't decompress. No, she had to stay in the living room, devoid of her laptop, with just her phone, looking over some animals. Hello, Ali. Good morning. That you're right on. Luckily, I had a nap. That's why I'm still up. Thank you for being here, Mystic. I trust me. When I say that you definitely brighten up my day, I mean it. Thank you so much. And having the wager earlier, in all honesty, I thought my streaming career was like in the whole nosedive path already, and things aren't looking good. But you have proven me wrong. There is still hope. So thank you for playing my little game earlier. I hope when the opportunity presents itself again, you would be so inclined to go play some more in the future. Good morning, Chelsea. UPF. Vesper says, oh, there's the hiccup. Vesper says, they got home from out of town today and were out doing some shopping. So that's why we're ending up doing the cleaning so late. Did not help that Ryan didn't watch the dogs while I was watching, so there is mopping involved with the basement. Oh dear, it seems Vesper is gonna be gone for quite a while, chat. Oh, and here I was. I wanted to do the little heart thing with, for Mystic. Yes, so chin up my ahoge have. Is that my focal point now? The fact that I have this thing? Mystic. Oh man. Are you done eating food? I haven't had breakfast yet. That's true. Well, it depends if Mystic is still awake by then. I'll still be live for around an hour and a half, so yeah, there's that. I love your accent. Thank you, Easy. Brody, Nexus, thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, maybe one more hour. I'm getting hungry. Ah, it's with this odd hour of streaming, I swear. I should be good still, though. I'm mad they keep having you hosted as this. Right? By the way, Mystic, did you know Vesper doesn't have a single free day in her schedule? Mondays to Thursdays, she's at school. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, she's at work. Yep. Am I sleepy? Not so much. Maybe a smidge. Don't worry, not quite. Yeah, and she's still relegated to do these heavy chores, Mystic. She doesn't have a rest day. Not even a Sunday to just decompress. That's why the time she spends with us is very much valuable. I think she'll go crazy if we didn't exist, Mystic. I would certainly lose it. Full schedule. No friends to look forward to after stream that I can hang around with. You know. As Vesper says, spending time with you guys is my solace. Jealousy says it's dark. It is indeed dark. Greetings, Gebos. How are you doing today? I'm doing okay. A bit hungry, but and I was having doubts about starting stream this late because of my schedule. But here I am. I'm still alive for you guys. Wow. Wow. If you check my profile, girly, you will most certainly see the flag that I represent. Won't you? Oh, sorry about that. You're half Filipino, says Indra. Yes, I'm half. Chat, I am half Chinese and I'm half Filipino. So, 100% Asian. There's still rice flowing in my veins. This is madness, replies Mystic to Vesper. It's the nicest formal way I can say what I really want to say. Yeah, I know. I feel bad for Vesper too. Gosh, full schedule. Hello, Dragon Master. So you're in the EU? No, I'm not. If you were listening to the past 30 seconds of me yapping, I clearly said that I'm Filipino, which means I'm from the Philippines. Also, hold on. Who is messaging me? God, why are you spamming my... Ugh. Spam. What is your favorite food in Filipino? Yeah, that would... Wow, that's difficult. Probably sisig. 100% sisig. Got Whiplash. The original avatar is back after one stream. Yours? Kiromye? Kiromai? I don't even know how to read your name. I call you Kiro. But if you're speaking about me, no. Use your eyes, Kiro. How many fingers do I have? How many fingers did I have? Precisely. Either golden. 5, yes. May I have a coin? Take it. Vesper says, things should ease up with the fact that I'm planning on signing up for online summer classes. That way I can have a day of rest if I get my crap done in time. Best of luck. I hope you do. Why, thank you. If I'm not mistaken, are you one of my followers from Thailand? Didn't something nasty happen in Thailand recently? Like the earthquake. I saw it all over the news. Cake Pop Princess, that's the name. You look a bit different today. Yeah. With each passing day comes an opportunity for growth and change in personal appearance. Did you get a haircut? If anything, Hunter, I actually grew my hair out. As you can see. Hello, Latins. Layton. There we go. You look rather smooth today. Thanks. The other day when I was streaming, it was terrible. You know what? I'm gonna go to Twitch right now. I need to verify that I look good. Because during my last stream, things were super choppy. As in. Let's see how I look. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Everything's nice and smooth. As it should be. Let's pause that because it's doubling my bandwidth consumption. We're gonna close my Firefox for now. You look good. Thank you so much. Cake Pop Princess says hello. I'm a dinosaur. Ooh. How do you get your resolution so high and smooth? You set it that way. And you gotta make sure that you have the hardware that is capable of running said resolution and your target FPS. So yeah. No, Mystic is still here and Vesper, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, that one. Why, as much as I want to break down my hardware my hardware setup for you, Bleach, it's not something I also easily divulge in stream because that isn't the content that I cater. Heard it before. I thought you were gone, Mystic. Who? Chat, if you want to hear me do what I just did, like the audio portion of that, yeah, it's on my Twitter. You can check it out. Oh man. Thank you, Pyro Rodent. Pyro Rodent. That's scary. Imagine a rat carrying a flamethrower. Hello, Sackler. Sackler. You guys have such complicated names. Beautifully complicated names. Not gonna lie, nice tape. Chat, it's the dental check. Uh, yes, they're very nice and clean. As they should be. Brush your teeth after every meal, chat. Or at the very least, every day. No, Mystic says, you know I'm on double watch with Twitch and TikTok. I'm just on assassin mode right now. You want to have your daily bounty. Okay. Cyber. A hydrate redeem. Of course. How can we not? You know what? I bought some I have some Gatorade here. I'm gonna finish it. Sorry. Mm. Ah. Yeah, that's refreshing. Thank you. I'm gonna keep that out here. I'm drinking. Look, I obviously don't have the bottle in game. I love that the avatar's cheeks puff up when you're oh, well, obviously, I seem to have a habit of accumulating the drinks in my cheek first before actually going for a swallow. I, I'm surprised you guys noticed that. Hello, Fox Balls. Everything's going okay. So far. Hello, Squish. That's peak face tracking. Funny enough, that's actually just base face tracking. I hope sometime mid-year I get a better face tracking setup. I ordered a little something, and I guess I will not be counting my eggs in the basket before they arrive. So yeah. But I am very hopeful that it manifests and it turns out the way I imagine it to turn out. Vesper says, mopping the basement so that I can hopefully get the smell out of the basement my dad was. Use a mix of bleach and shampoo if you really want to mask something. Thank you, Ferrari. Mystic says I have chipmunk cheeks. So I need an acorn. You have the same color as an acorn, so you're gonna be my acorn, Mystic. Sink my teeth into you when I'm bored. What kind of jazz do you listen to? The ones that'll give me copyright strikes if I listen to it on stream. Unfortunately. Hi there, Phoenix. I don't really do that myself, says Vesper, the puffing of the cheeks. But that is adorable, darling. You guys are so easily entertained. Oh, man. No, I haven't, Raiden. Hi there, Raindrop. Welcome to my stream. Yeah, let's go. Get to a more comfortable position and then join me as I watch. Excuse me, Gebos, what music do you listen to? In all honesty, my Spotify is a mixed bag of genres, but I predominantly listen to things that one, don't have lyrics, two, is atmospheric, and so that's usually game OSTs and movie scores. And jazz, I who like jazz. Jazz noir, classic jazz. So yeah. The room is cozy. I know, right? It's pretty nice. Where are you from, lad? Asks Sticky. Sticky, I'm Asian. I'm from the Philippines. Somewhere in the equator. The Forbidden Gebcore playlist says your chat. I can't play my Spotify on stream anymore. Not this stream. Not this stream. Oh, maybe. Red Round Solo says top of the afternoon to ye. Afternoon, okay. Your stream is relaxing. Thanks, Fox Paws. Why, if it isn't Ilishka, hi there. Nice to see you. Very nice to have you here. Yikey. Del. Yusape. Your texture is pretty. You know what's funny? My texture is actually like the plainest of the plains. I have but one color here and another color here. Nothing fancy. Yes, I may have some normal maps in some locations, but not really the extent of my details. Thank you, Annie. A bit of a night mode stream right now, huh? If it's too dark, you guys can just tell me, I can very much easily open up the lights. This is better. No, it's like the cops are outside, but their lights are stuck at the red instead of the blue. What are your favorite hobbies? Asked Yaiki. 1. Working on my motorcycle. 2. Riding my motorcycle. 3. Watching motorcycle reviews and travel blogs. I really love bikes, chat. 4. Tending to my aquariums. I have a bunch of shrimps, snails, fish, loaches. 5. Suffering through Blender, Substance Painter, and finding new things to do in Unity. 6. As Joe says, lasagna. You know what? That means eating, chat. I like cooking simple meals and eating them at the same time. Morning, Gib. Did something change in your face? You have such a sharp eye. Let's fix that. The lighting is now back to neutral. There you have it. What is your profession? Clearly not a Spartan. I'm an investigator. I poke my nose into curious little things that most normal people wouldn't. Good night, Delishka. Sleep well. See you around. What are your favorite animals and food? My favorite animals are my pet cat and my pet fish. Food. I'm recently taking a liking to chicken biryani rice. There's a local Indian guy near my place. I ran into him by chance, and now I order like 10 servings of it's like 10 Tupperwares of it, like every week at the very least. He gives me my daily meals, and it's very cheap too. Nice long grain basmati rice, and then you have a slice of tomato, some white onions or red, and then it's like flavored with lots of spices, cardamom, cinnamon, and then there's nice steamed chicken in the middle. It's delicious. Hello, T. Billy. It's been a while. Welcome to the stream. What is the best way to stay focused? Have your hands do something. Fidget with a tool, a toy, a device, while your eyes are concentrated on whatever you're viewing, observing, or studying. Try to keep one tab open only. Set it to full screen if possible. Cindy, I'm from the Philippines. Did your avatar change? It looks a bit different. Yes, a bit different, but it's still very much me, Chan. You shine nicely, says Piotrek. I sh. No, are you talking about my tie? By the way, how did you get that avatar costume made somewhere? Annie, I bought the base off of Gumroad, and I did a lot of Blender work. I had to remesh things. I had to make custom blend shapes for things. I had to tweak the face tracking and so much more. Tweak the animation controllers and all that jazz that I had to cram into my head the other day. Wait, why was that actually good advice? Oh, I didn't know it was bad life advice, Layton. Well, how do you stay focused? It's simple. You do what has been recently discovered, and that's called the chameleon method. A chameleon has independently moving eyes. So you start with two phones, and then you gradually move it left and right. And you have your main computer screen in the middle, which is what you want to focus on. The chameleon method. It's strange, but it works. Bad life advice. Maddie Kim says, whoa, you look way different from the last time I was here. Is that a Volper? Yes, Maddie, yes it is. The Volper has a very iconic and easily distinguishable smile. Right? And I think the Volper captures me pretty well. Except the base Volper, I had to obviously change a whole lot of things. It's taken me more than 8 days and counting. Oh. One, the Volper doesn't have eyebrows, which, well, you clearly can see it has now. It's not painted on eyebrows either, chat. It's actually eyebrows, and I had to go model, and then I had to go make blend shapes for facial tracking blend shapes. And yes, Axiom says, oh my god, I didn't miss it fully. Yes. Hi there, Sam. I'm glad you can join me on stream. It seems you've been getting a fear of missing out as of late. Here's your chance to catch up and make up for it. Hell, I'll even invite you for an hangout after stream if you're up for it. Vesper is certainly game. Mystic, I'm not so sure if she has the stamina for it. But yes. Oh, that's a lot of close-up time. Oh my. I'll be back soon, says Vesper. Apparently me alone mopping the basement fixed the problem. Fantastic to have you soon, love. Thank you, Belle. Now that is the type of all caps that I like seeing. What do you mean you don't have the stamina? Oh, I mean you, Mystic. I figured it's super late on your end, and I mean with your schedule, but if you have energy up, we can very much hang out. I think a fantastic place to bring Axiom Atom would be into the Udon Tycoon world. Yes. Oh, I can't wait for him to try the creations you have. Thank you. That's a very funny name. Besos left. Yes. I think it's the texture. What about Marquista? No, Marquesita. Sorry, that's how you read your name. My texture is actually the same. How are you doing this fine night? Thank you for asking. I'm doing quite okay. A wee bit peckish, but it's nothing that can't be solved with a light meal that I have defrosted beforehand. After stream, I hope you're doing just as great. I can try, says Axiom, but after my 20-hour sleep, I'm still tired. What better way to rouse yourself up from your self inflicted hibernation than hanging around with a bunch of friends? You can just be sleeping around as you lie down, rest, relax. Just slip on your super duper ergonomic, comfortable, top of the line, bleeding edge technology headset. And then you're set. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Well, rest in peace to your kitty, Crimson. Have no spare lives. I know cats come with 9, so there should be 8 extra. Vesper says definitely. Axiom is one silly guy, a beam of light to brighten a dull day. He is like a vegetable that even after being stuck in the freezer for a full 5 days, once it has thawed out, it's still nice, munchy and green. Still makes for a very happy salad. You don't allow emojis? No, emojis are allowed. I don't even know how I can censor emojis on TikTok. It's the same, it's the lighting. It's the lighting. It's definitely the lighting. Definitely 100% the lighting. Nothing new, chat. It's still the same old me. Hi there, Spider Cider. What a catchy name. Spider Cider. Oh dear. What other parts of your avatar glow? Well, everything that you need to know is clearly plain to see. No, it's not the chocolate coin, Che. I mean, it does look like one of those chocolate coins you can just peel open, but no, it's not. What are you watching? Blender tutorials, tips and tricks. Hello, Dandy, DK. Gebos, how do you add the flipping coin to your avatar? Lindy, Gumroad, coin flip. Good luck. It's very easy to do. It's a drag and drop thing. Kitty says, a psychopath can sometimes blend in perfectly with everyone else. I should know. I take it you simply have a sharp intuition about things. Hi there, Viserion. Here's the question. I did not see your question, Pujo. Mystic says, Udon Tycoon will have to be another day unless you plan on contributing the building. You can join me. Oh, right. Oh, if it's gonna be a surprise for us, Mystic, then by all means, we don't wanna eat up the spoilers, so invite us when you deem it ready. Vesper says Lindy also gives a tutorial on how to put the coin on your avatar if they are lost. It's a one size fits all asset. That's true. You have a very interesting voice. And cute, says Piotrek. Thank you. You know, did you know I actually suppressed the rolls on my tongue? I used to have much harder R's. But in my attempt at trying to sound smoother for as an emulation of my Western viewers, I've kind of been, yeah. "31 viewers. Hello, chat. Welcome to my stream. You may be curious as to what I do and who I am. 1. What I do, I sit around, I play some jazz, now copyright free, thank you. And I mostly just chat with chat. Yes, my aesthetic is quite different from that gave me a bit of a jump scare. A bit different from other VR chat streamers, but yes. Come on, Sam.
Sorry.
And more often
I mean,
during
I
my
do-
streams, I am accompanied by Vesper over here. She is my moderator. So you can see the face
Hello.
of your executioner right before she drops the axe. So yeah. I'm in awe. You know what? Let's fix camera number 2 because camera 2 is, yeah. Hold on. There we go. That is the Vesper cam. AKA moderator cam. Ba-bam. Fantastic. Now TikTok can see you clearly. Little bonus for the Twitch viewers that can still see me. So yeah. Welcome. She has such a cute Avi, says Shroomy. You have fans instantly,
Thank you.
bewildering my audience just by appearing. Chat, what's not to like with Vesper? She's cute, she's also reliable, and such an earnest, upstanding person. And very much camera shy.
Thank you.
She's quick to overwhelm. Lovely, says Wish Dream. Come on, give him a little wave and smile. It's so cute, chat. It's super cute. Anywho. There, we're back. She steals the spotlight. Oh, she definitely does, doesn't she? Hi, girl, says Fox. Thank you, Astrophobic. The way you flip the coin reminds me of the game Detroit Become Human. Ah, you mean Connor. Unfortunately, I can't do the whole coin trick that Connor does. Maybe when I get those super expensive gloves that's used to track your fingers. Grim Knight's asking, hey Gebos, do you like having jalapenos with your tacos? I am an absolute fan of salsa, so I do like my jalapenos. Hello, Ivy. JVRK. Co-West? Before she gets annoyingly summoned, can you two do the pose? Oh, Vesper, I promised Mystic, remember? Come on. So, how do we do it? So, down here, and then curve here, right?
I think so.
No, it's hard. I gotta move closer, Derek. You wanna do the yeah, there. That's our best attempt. She was ready. Yes. Mwah. Okay. Ooh. Uh oh. What happened? I moved. I moved by accident. That's what happened. Whoops. Are my cameras still okay? Yes. And yes. Foxpaw says I've got to go. I hope you guys have a wonderful night and day and see you around. I wonder which god Foxpaw is pertaining to. There's either none of them or an infinite amount of them. Funny. Well, last I checked, he wasn't a god or a deity. But I shall not go into that sort of discussion. Religion and politics are the two topics completely banned here on chat. Chat. But I do wish you a lovely day. Thank you for being polite. Oh, cute. It seems Mystic is happy. I think she. Yes. How about this, Mystic? Next time you do a wager, we can do extra special things to you also in game. I know you're a big fan of the little hearts coming out of our snouts whenever they inadvertently make contact with each other. I'm not one for public displays of affection, chat. I know the right time and place for things. It irks me a little bit whenever I see couples that are also sticky with each other. You know what I mean? Like, get a room,
Yeah, no,
right?
no personal space, just all over each other in
Yeah, all
public.
over each other. Like, I like congratulations on the love. Like, I'm never gonna discount that. But I guess it's just my Asian upbringing and everything. It's the West is very, very open with their displays of it. Here we are very reserved, very reserved. We'll happily walk while holding hands and everything, kiss on the cheek, quick peck on the lips while saying goodbye or hello. But everything else is pretty much reserved to just being under your own roof.
Yeah. Like, I especially get it because back in high school, we'd have these couples who would, like, take up the most space in the hallway, even if it's just two people. So you'd have to awkwardly just walk around them as they're kissing and all that. Like, get the heck away from my locker, please. I need to get to my next class.
Yeah. Right. So yeah. Right time and place, chat. Also, where's the camera? I just don't know where I put it.
I don't see it either.
That's. Oh, it's right there by the cushions. Okay. Or they lean up against the locker and block you from get. Oh, you mean the bullies? Trying to get something, dork. Then, like the other jocks, they come around. Yeah.
Yeah, some people might go,
It was
"Ooh,
from
it's
Mystic
there. They're just
Stream.
leaning against your
Oh, hey, why if it
door. Are they
isn't
leaning against the locker to fuck you? No,
if it isn't
probably
Mystic
not.
with a C? Welcome to chat.
Hmm.
I saw you on Mystic with a K stream. Hello, Miss Light. Howdy. Right? Mizu the float cell gets it. I don't know, Echo. As tempting as it is. What's that? Could have sworn I heard something. You know, some lasagna would be really good right now. Maybe once my stream is like going well again and we get lucky with the wagers, we can start buying it weekly or whenever we can afford it. Oh, I really do miss my layers of pasta goodness.
Maybe
Yeah.
not weekly, considering what happened last time.
Now, weekly, I gained, I think, 2 centimeters on my waistline during the 2 or 3 months where I had to eat it weekly, Chad. I'm glad I
So
weaned
yeah,
myself
maybe
from.
maybe monthly.
Maybe monthly. Hello? Of course, it's working. There we go. My hand's working again. Lasagna, right, Axiom? Well, funny enough, if you go to my throne, though, you can sneakily buy me some lasagna and Vesper won't. Moderation is key, Geb. That's true. Any excess lasagna, I'm just gonna put it in the freezer and consume it over time. Yeah. Hello, Strofaya. Strofaya. And not wait 3 months. Don't worry about it. Can't have a chunky gebos. Absolutely can't. Mm-mm. Imagine me being like a fat neck beard. Hey, chat. And then my voice changes too.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
dragging you
no,
to
no.
soaring.
I'm sorry, chat. I, I'm not a big fan of being rotund and out of shape and out of breath. No diabetes. Are you wearing eyelashes? You mean the glue-on one? No.
Nope, those are just his lashes.
That's just my normal lashes. If anything, I actually trimmed it shorter. Stop. Perish the thought indefinitely. I'm like so fat. I'm
Yeah, no,
like
there's
best friends with the ice cream man. I want a strawberry cheesecake, a nut of butter, another nut of butter. Just, I like order 12 like different flavors in one go. I'm sorry. I watched this show like my what's this my 700-pound life or something like that, and I saw this. I
yeah.
saw this dude just
Gotcha.
take 10 minutes
Mm.
ordering food from the ice cream man. Hi there, D. Good morning.
Gosh, I watched that and then yes, that reminds me of grandma.
Oh, sheesh. I know what episode you're talking about. You know, I walk out to greet the ice cream man, and that's my exercise for the day. That's what he said. And he doesn't even walk to the truck. He just walks into his porch and sits. And the ice cream man's just like, yeah, what's your order? He should be like an accomplice at this point.
Enabler.
It's an enabler. A calorific enabler. Finally got the strength to get on my PC. Let's see if I can stay awake, says Axiom. Go ahead, come awake, huh? If you want to see these in person.
Wakey, wakey,
Yeah.
Sam.
Wakey, wakey, Sam. Come on. Up you go.
It's Valentine's Day.
Sure. I'm gonna end up in a coma already seeing. Yeah, bro. What? But the close up, it's pretty nice, right? Yeah. You get on VR chat for me, right? But we shall spare the audience and we'll just zoom out. Be at the SFW distance. Floatzel says, then again, I work at the grocery store, and well, with all that walking, I do think I burn more calories than I take in. Great. You know, one of the perks of being able to work like retail and whatnot is you get to constantly move. If you're a cubicle like drone, like most of the people nowadays, you will inadvertently suffer to atrophy. You're quite literally going to wither away.
Yeah, I'm mostly just standing and walking around during my shift, so
Mm-hmm.
might not be doing the most intensive workouts, but I'm lifting heavy stuff off the not the escalator, but the conveyor belt.
Right. You still get
Packing
to move
groceries
your
away,
body,
so
yeah. Before,
yeah,
when I was
yeah.
working, it's just like that. Draw. That's it. Not 8 hours per day. It was really bad. Speaking of VR chat, how do you like the game overall? This is a game? I do lawn care, so I'm always moving, says Layton. Great. Hi there, Miyamura, Andy, Hugo Santos. Are you mad or just cute? How about you tell me? Fit It Man is asking for quotes from the mod. I think you hear one from Vesper each time she says goodbye, but do you have one for chat?
Well, depends on what if there's anything specific they want.
Like what, I wonder. Don't be a nuisance, says Mystic. there you have it. Because Mystic is a
Yeah,
mod
yeah.
too, Fit It Man.
Oh, then what I could say is behave, chat. Behave.
Now with feelings, come on, the way I would say it. Come on, you gotta I'm gonna zoom in. And then you gotta look at the camera. You gotta establish eye contact. Come on, use that Quest Pro. Turn, turn your head a little bit more. There we go. There we go. You gotta put feeling into it.
Behave, chat. Come on.
Where are you looking? It's
Don't be
supposed
bad.
to be like this.
Oh, I didn't see the chat. I
Behave.
didn't see the camera.
Chat. Like that, Vesper.
Behave.
Again, take two. Let's do it. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, then look at the camera. Look at the camera.
I don't see where the camera
There,
is.
there, on your left. Look to your left. Ish. A bit more. A bit more. Turn your head ever so slightly to the left. One more inch. There you go. Now do the thing.
Behave, chat.
I give it a 7 out of 10. There you have it. Who am I with? This is Vesper. And there goes Vesper. She's being summoned yet again for chores, I believe. Oh my. 6.5 from the Canadian. What's this? Have you ever been told that your avatar somewhat resembles Noivern? The Pokemon Noivern. Sounds like a cool name. I don't know what it looks like. Maybe our resident Pokedex addict Axiom Atom can tell me or DM me a picture. Hello, Wilson. It seems the two mystics meet each other in chat. Noivern, Noivern. Do you know this Pokemon, Axiom? What? Love that one. Axiom, can you DM me a photo, please? I'm curious. Oh, my eyes are itchy. What the heck? Gab, do you have a favorite video game? Right now, my comfort game is like Battlefield 1. Oh my, not any. There you go. Thank you, D. Thank you, Mystic. So glad to have three moderators online today. Oh, that's Noivern. He looks like he has subwoofers on his head. Ah, that's actually kind of cool. I oh man, here the ooh, somebody's starting out their car in the garage. It goes like ooh, love that car. Anyway, Memo says because you have to battle on the field sure, Memo, sure. How am I? I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. Hello, Kendall. Oh my god, Gab. What happened to your face? I got hit by the refrigerator door far too many times, and this is kind of just what came out of it. I think something similar happened to this squid worker who was working at a fast food joint. And yeah. Hi. I'm surprised you've dropped by stream, man. I hope you're doing well, Kat. I love the new haircut. It's just, the little extra fluff I have now. Where's the jazz? It's playing ever so slowly. There. What is this? On the topic of comfort games, my is somewhat. I absolutely love Monster Hunter Wilds. Sometimes I roam around. I don't even ride my Sacred. I just roam around on foot to discover each and every little things. Have you gone and observed the endemic life? Like the wildlife actually have behavioral patterns to them. Have you walked around the camp and just observed the NPCs? How hunters come and go on their own hunts? How the palicos interact with each other? How they train? How they do their little things? They have conversations over a fire. There's so much little touches and animations and things that Capcom did for Monster Hunter Wilds that I think a lot of people just gloss over, focus solely on the hunts. Kat says life is a struggle, but I'm still here, and that's what matters. We are all still
Sorry,
here.
just scoot on past.
Come back. Your hair.
Sorry.
Prodigy says, it's been a while since I've been back on stream. Why the long face? Because I tried having a short face, but apparently that doesn't look too good on me. Arch-tempered Vesper. Ah, yes. Little goddamn Nata is gonna... Oh, please. Arkbill's just trying to survive. Mizo says, you think Wilds is amazing. Just wait until the summer. They have to... Oh! I saw the trailer. There's going to be the diva, right? The one singing, and we're going to have the gathering hub. Just like in the previous Monster Hunter games, finally. I did wish it came during lunch, but it all makes sense though. Notice as you play through the story in Monster Hunter, the expedition team, the team you're at, gradually grows and like sets up more places. So I figured it would take a couple of months for whatever Capcom has in store for us, which is the gathering hub for the hunters and whatnot. Geb, do you have phantom sense? Yes. Yes, I do.
No, I'm not gonna poke him for chat's amusement.
Poke. Ah.
At least in public lobbies, whenever someone hears, "Oh, I have Phantom Sense," all the other players tend to swarm.
The invasion of personal space, yes. 2-hour mark, best P in Yabos. Thank you for the time check, Mystic. Oh man, this is so weird. It's like
Thank
I'm
you.
back on track. Mystic, you're I love you so much. Thank you. What exactly is your phantom sense? Says Dazzy. Well, of course, I'm not gonna describe the extent of it in detail in chat, but what is the spectrum of phantom sense? I can't feel pain in phantom sense wise D. And thank goodness I can't. Axiom unfortunately has like 100% phantom sense. So if he goes into water, he gets the sensation of drowning. What is your accent? Asks a curious Matt. Matt, I don't know what accent this is, but I can tell you where I'm from. I'm from the Philippines. It's a little island country in the equator, south of Japan and Taiwan, east of India, if I'm not mistaken. I could listen to your voice until I fall asleep. Many have fallen victim to slumber's sweet embrace when they've been listening to my streams, Piotrek. So I won't hold it against you if you do fall asleep. I'll see you around, Layton. Thanks for hanging around as long as you have. I've always loved your voice as Greystorm Axel. That's a cool name. You sound like a reliable guildmate in an MMORPG. Hey, has Greystorm Axel logged in yet? You know, he's a bit of a RPer, but at the same time, he really grinds the grind for gear. Hello, PJ. Are you a minimalist? I am a functionalist. Whatever that means. Folks won't last 5 minutes if you read them a bedtime story. Once upon a time, in a little rundown cafe somewhere south of Mexico, where it was lit by nothing but scavenged candles from the local chapel nearby, tended to by none other than a rather impoverished princesita. She had beautiful markings on her forearms, her thighs, unfortunately a little jagged due to reasons. I'm just joking. Hi there, Jelly. Nice to see you. All right, Mr. Axel. The little princessita that could. If you guys have watched Heidi, you know. All right, Fragile, go ahead. Why am I watching this at 4 a.m.? Ryan, I take it you're trying to fall asleep and you're just doom scrolling and you happened upon my content. I'll see you around, Pyro. Rest well. Hello, Yoshi. I think I greeted you already. What's your favorite negative That's a bit of a quandary, isn't it? Liking something that isn't good. So it means which is the lesser evil of all things? I think that would be anger, because anger is something you can dissipate, control if you really put your heart into it. But sadness, loneliness, jealousy, all these things that fester the heart, these aren't fires you can simply quench with a bit of water. No. Anger, though, just as quickly as it has come to blaze, it can also be put out. Hello, Extreme. I'm gonna draw it. Which one? Anger? Oh, hold on. My. What? All this sitting is making me feel stiff. So you gotta adjust your posture every now and then, chat. I'm sure things are still working. Grim Knight says, "Oh, this is for Vesper. Vesper, bad life advice, but you are the one being asked. Don't forget to look at the camera."
What would you do if you were faced with a foe that is 10 times stronger than you are in D&D? Simple. You roll the romance.
Roll to charm, chat. I didn't thank you for the bard. I thought you were the Unga Bunga party member. You would whack it with the axe before negotiating.
I was giving bad life advice, now was I?
That's true. Bad life advice. Always roll for romance. Barbarians coming at you, romance. Muggers about to go stab you and take everything you hold valuable, romance. Pit of lava, romance. Rolling boulder towards you from an abandoned temple, romance.
Yes, flirt with the boulder.
Flirt with the boulder. And then the boulder is gonna stop and then like have the blush lines. TikTok is asking you, same question that they asked me. What's your least favorite negative emotion? Least favorite. So
Sadness and loneliness, I'd say. I was dealing with a mix of both for like a good while before I met this guy. And I absolutely do not want to go back.
the cave of loneliness.
This guy was the best thing that happened to me.
Not a good place to be, chat. Thank you. I try my best, chat. To those that I hold dear, my friends. Vesper. My other buddies, Mystic, Mecca, Axiom, Wolfie, Joe. I may have forgotten somebody, but I can't remember. But yeah, I do my best to protect them. Protect, look after them. Good night, Matt. Noob, I answered your question. You weren't listening. I just said it was anger, right? Or was it a secondary question that maybe I missed? What do I want least? I did the follow-up answer on it. I did say that it's sadness and loneliness, same as Vespers. Envy. I got dragon fruit. Do you all want some? Well, obviously you gotta leave some of him because he still has to stream, right? But I do like me my dragon fruit. Peculiar thing, when you slice it, it's like white with lots of black seeds inside. Delicious though. Bad life advice by Grim Knight. Okay, Geba, so this one is for you. If you were a therapist, what would you tell your patients? I would ask them to come in naked so they can bear me the honest truth. We start with that as a foundation. The seeds tickle my mouth, so Mystic likes it textured, I see. Okay. Little Tasmanian whirlwind. Why are we dwelling on negative emotions when my stream is actually like moving away from that topic? I guess the closest is tedium. When you get bored, the voices that whisper and erodes your conscience speaks louder than they usually do. Hello, Kendra. Pepe Le Pew. Aide-moi, aide-moi. You look a bit different, Asmodian. It's probably just your eyes. That's still me. And my non-illuminated eyebrows.
Yeah, let's just say I put some makeup on those. That's fine.
If you were in the Middle Ages, asked Wolven, what would you do there? 1. Survive. Because the Middle Ages isn't a friendly place. You don't have superpowers. All you have are facts and knowledge that people will deem you heretical for having. You would probably sooner burn on the stake than achieve anything great. If you could be a superhero, who would you be? A superhero? That depends upon which universe. The Marvel, DC. I would want to be Dr. Manhattan. Well, his abilities at least. I don't want to be bald and naked. Are you Russian? Just curious. No, I'm not. The trumpet guy from Teen Titans. Who? Graham is asking, hey Gebos and Vesper, what are your thoughts on fun? Oh no, you're opening a can of worms. Let's switch the camera. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on FNAF? Condense it in 30 seconds, Vesper.
It's something that came out when I was younger. That's for dang sure.
Go on. How do you feel about it? The characters, the world, the lore.
It could be written better because the lore is an absolute mess, but I have some pretty good memories of watching people play the games and seeing how the community interacted and all that. So yeah, I really do like Fight at Freddy's. Even have a character of my own. Well, original character, of course.
Notice her hurried pace of speaking. Go on.
Not trying to eat up too much time.
Go on. I'm urging you.
Uh, but
Hold on, I'm gonna make the
yeah,
camera come.
man
There's the camera. You
doesn't-
can see it now.
Yeah. But yeah, the lore.
Well. We're waiting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But yes, the lore. Something happens to a bunch of kids, and now there's killer animatronics running around after you.
Bring go yippee is axiom, okay? Vesper being able to talk about her favorite fandom in front of 42 plus 21 people.
Oh God.
Come on. Can you recommend people getting into the FNAF fandom? Playing the games, watching the movie perhaps?
What can I
Regardless of
recommend?
age. Yeah. Would you recommend? And why?
I would just have to recommend playing the games yourself, or at least watching gameplay, and then watching like theory videos as well to understand the lore better. Because I know there was this one guy, MatPat, who really got popular off of like figuring out the Fight at Freddy's lore, and then the creator just quite literally out of spite changed the lore up again and again because he just kept getting it right.
Betty. I see. There you have it. I'm sure she wants to gush more about the topic. Go harp. You know? But she's just being modest here on stream.
I'm not trying to eat up Gab's stream.
Mm-hmm.
It's his stream after all.
I disintegrate this axiom. What is your favorite non-food substance, non-medicinal to consume? That's my question to you. Last question to Vesper about the FNAF thing. Who is your favorite character? Ask Grim Knight.
That's a bit of a hard one, honestly, because I guess it depends on the game. Like the first game, my favorite's Bonnie. Second game, it's either between Mangle or the Marionette. Third game would have to be Springtrap. Fourth game, Fredbear, and then I'm not gonna go through the rest of them. It's just, there's a lot.
As you can clearly see, Chad, Vesper is a bit of a FNAF dork. So that's what I meant. It's cute though. I've seen her character designs. It's amazing. Can you see how much she's holding back? How she's trying to maintain her composure on stream, chat. Anywho, there we go. This is thing called TOS, says action. The international sausages. I see. I see you around, Luna Moon. Hi there, Jody. If you had a wish, what would it be and why? I think one wish I would ask that can actually be granted is... Never mind. It's okay. That's completely fine. Also, Fragile, you're probably gonna get bonked by Mystic, so may want to heed her warnings. Axiom says, Vesper, don't worry, I'ma get on VR and you can talk all about FNAF. I still remember post FNAF for the websites for lore. There you have it. Oh, Vesper's ears are perking up quite literally, thinking about, I get to talk to a friend about what I like. Yeah, you and Axiom go talk. I'll go drop by 305 real quick and then come back, eat.
Hey, you.
I'm just joking. Hi there, Fluffy Socks. Welcome back. I'll stay, Axiom. I'll just be here, or I'll even have my audio on while I'm eating. I will get FNAF lore whether you like it or not. Well, there you have it. Little Axiom. Axiom is just like a toilet bowl with all the FNAF knowledge being the toilet water swirling down into the hole. Don't know how that makes sense, but it does. I'm just joking, actually. If she made the FNAF game, what would she want in it? That's a good question. I'm curious.
Probably something that's actually scary. Like, sure, maybe like free roam, but at the same time, like, don't do it like Security Breach. That was frankly a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it wasn't even that scary. Like, the jump scares are just old at this point. They're just recycled metallic screeches and shaking.
It gets old real quick. Really gets old super fast.
And actual, like, terrifying designs, too. Like
just flesh
if
and
you see
sinew.
Pizzeria Simulator, like, yeah, like, if you see Pizzeria Simulator, Scrap Trap just looks like a mix of Jimmy Neutron and a peanut.
Brain blast. Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. There you have it, chat. Jimmy Neutron. I'm still imagining Jimmy. Anywho. Hello, Zedico, and welcome to my streams. Talk a lot. That's it. Got some tacos. Good for you, Hayes. She's not wrong, though, says Mystic. I would add, as with any game, maybe make it like a dynamic AI sort of thing. That learns from you. A lot of horror games nowadays has that.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's even this one game where a monster perfectly mimics one of your companion, the voice, the movement, the appearance, and then all of a sudden they show you a snap neck when it's too late. It's like, yeah, or like in Alien Desolation. Yeah, was it Desolation? Isolation? I forgot. Me and Vesper actually played Repo. I was with Mecha, Axiom, and Mystic. For something so out of early access, with at version 0.1, it actually was fun. Definitely have a larger roadmap ahead to keep players more hooked into the game. But for its bare bones presentations, it's actually pretty good. Lots of funny stuff, shenanigans. Oh, hi there, unlucky Mizutsu. Oh, you've been renamed Mizu now. Okay. Let me go check Discord. Apparently, I got a ping. Where? Oh, from Axiom. Experimenting with the new SDF nodes in geometry nodes. Oh my god, geometry. I was. Did you know I was actually watching YouTube trying to learn geometry nodes just 2 days ago? Because I was trying to solve how having two separate meshes like seamlessly connect with each other without actually joining the vertices, to those that know what I'm talking about. Like the monster on your face, where you turned and sounded like Shaquille O'Neal. Yes. Hi, Zelarina. Yeah. It was so funny. Mystic suddenly had like a manly, deep, black dude voice. Like, hey guys, don't come near me. I'ma eat your face. It was really funny. Yes, it was from my stream, Axiom. I'm gonna have a drink. Good. So yeah. Mm. If you had the chance to rewind time, what time period would you rewind to? The early 2000s. That's for me. Because I would be stinking rich if I were to go back to the 2000s right now with all the knowledge I have. Why would I want to go back to the ancient world when there's no toothbrushes, toothpaste, medicine, vitamins, or bidets? Ugh.
And I just
Barbaric.
honestly don't want to unwind time because I might mess something up and then this guy's out of my life.
Wow.
No.
Oh, sure. Actually, I'm gonna lie down for a bit. Wait, you're in VR chat? I don't see you in VRC. Actually, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, it's the webcam detection game thing. If she met a FNAF character in real life, how would she react to them? Stationary or
I'd
like
probably just if it's like stationary, can't harm me, cool, I'm probably gonna fuck around with it. Like Freddy say, for example, just okay, there's your stupid nose, just honk, 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 okay, bye. If they would move around though, nope, I'm getting out.
oh,
I'm getting out. I would rather not be stuffed into a suit like a meat pretzel.
what she said? Almost time for a stream to end. Goodness me, chat. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes. Oh my, oh my. You look at the time. To be fair, it is super late, chat. I will be sticking to schedule and actually ending here. I know. Mystic says that is a good question. How long are you gonna be on? I'm going into zombie mode and trying not to put my head. Mystic, go to bed. It's okay. It's okay. I'm actually about to end stream, and that's where the invites are coming in. I think Axiom wants to join in too. So, yeah. How do I make cake for Nova Beasts? Bad Life I Advise Edition. You use Rexonium shedded hairs as toppings. That's what you need to do. Good night, Grim. So with that, Vesp, I think we do need to say good night to chat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, anywho, come on, let's wrap things up. Chat, TikTok, thanks for joining me. I'm surprised a lot of you still showed up. We have 11K likes and whatnot. And yeah, Vesper, start off the goodbyes.
All right. Bye, chat. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and make sure to sleep plenty.
There you have it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, chat. I'll see you again. Who knows? I might stream sooner than you think. Because I do need to get back to my old streaming schedule. Bye bye, TikTok. See you around. Yeah, if I can click the end stream button. Stay lovely, chat. And for my Twitcherinos, I do have to say goodbye. Alright? Nothing fancy. I'll see you when I see you. Bye everyone.